right. Welcome back to Finding Your Force. I'm Mambo Mooney here with Mambo Beck today. So we're here together, breaking chains and igniting flames. And today, I love the title of today's because, our viewers will learn more about, your very natural, earthy, ancestral side. So I especially love the title of this. Um, we'll be talking to Mambo Beck today about weeds, a plant in the wrong place. Really kind of talking about this kind of idea of this incessant need to fit in that some of us have, right? So I'm just going to hand it off to you. So tell us more about this inspiration, weeds, a plant in the wrong place.
Thank you, Miss Mambo Mooney. Hey, y'all. So, as Mambo Mooney alluded to, before I became a Mambo, before I started the practice of Sansei and 21 divisions, my background was very shamanic and very earth-based. So, learning the plants, the animals, what their individual medicines, their forces, their currents were, and how to leverage those for betterment. So I work a lot with plants, both for medicinal purposes as well as other purposes for healing, for clearings, for cleansings, and really to infuse whoever that person is with what they need. So the beauty of plant medicine is that most plants that have some amazing characteristics and can support us in a lot of healing works are considered weeds by if you're in the Americas, especially the Northern Americas. These are things that people gleefully and excitedly mow down, chop down, spray with not insecticides, with pesticides and all kinds of things. Just like, ugh, I just want my grass. Grass is great, but it doesn't do that much for us as human beings. Okay. Quick history lesson. The reason many people, especially in the Americas, are obsessed with grass is because grass is a status symbol. If you can have grass, that means you're well off. You don't need your ground, your earth, right, that your residents might sit on to be growing vegetables and herbs and things like that, because you can buy those things from somewhere else. So you don't need to grow them for yourself. So grass is a status symbol. And while that has kind of been forgotten, and most people don't know why they're so obsessed with grass, they are. And what suffers? The weed. The weed suffers greatly. Now, I don't really recognize the word weed, meaning I don't really subscribe to this nonsense. All plants are beautiful in their space. All plants have something to offer us. They're here for a reason. Everything on this earth was created for a purpose. And so it's very interesting where you might see, say, a blue thistle. Maybe it's growing right in the crack of your driveway. Well, that's a problem now, isn't it? Not for me, but for many people, that's a huge problem. We've got to kill that bad boy. We got to pull that out. Oh my God, why? Blue thistle is an amazing medicine. And there are wildflower, notice I said flower, wildflower fields where they grow. Some people plant them intentionally. So oftentimes a weed is indicated as a weed because it's not wanted where it is.
Mm-hmm.
It still has a blossom, and is a blossom not a flower? So why is it a weed? It's a weed because we don't want it there. We're like, you're irritating me. That's not where I want you to grow. I want you to grow over there. Then I will look at you. And then maybe I'll see the beauty of your blossom and all the pollinators that love you. But in that driveway, nope, not a flower, not a medicine. It's a weed to be gotten rid of. And so one thing that happens when you really sit with the medicines that each plant brings you is that You learn a lot of really deep lessons about your world and your experience in that world. And so, one of the most beautiful lessons that very specifically the blue thistle taught me, which is why I used it as an example, I'm about to share with you. And please apply it to your life, because trust and believe it will apply. The story I told you is a real one. That blue thistle grew in my driveway. However, I did not pull it up because that would be ridiculous. I put little wooden stakes around it so that no one could damage it walking by because I needed it to bloom and harvest it. And I was really excited because I didn't plant it there. It just appeared and I said, thank you. But that is when it shared this beautiful lesson with me that I've been able to apply to my own life, and I hope you can apply to yours, which is, why would someone, get rid of it? What is a weed? So we just talked about really being in the wrong place, right? It's a place that someone has said, you don't belong here. Now, the weed, the flower, it grew. So that's actually the important part of this lesson. If it grew, it was meant to be there. That means the environment was right, the soil was right, the air was right, the sun was right, the water was right. Everything was actually optimal for that flower to grow exactly where it did. The only reason it's being rejected is because someone else said, you shouldn't be here. And so now we're going to talk about grass, which people love, they covet. Oh my God, the grass, it's so lush, it's so green. Look how perfect the lines are. Oh my God. Spending all kinds of money on this stuff. Something you can eat. It does provide benefit for other woodland creatures, but as far as like specific benefits for you, not so much. So if we think of grass as the crowd, and the flower that's being called a weed as you, listener, what's happening in this dynamic? Say you are at a new job, all right? And that job is kind of cliquey, meaning the people who are there, they've either worked there a long time, they've got their own kind of flow together, they're not too hospitable to new people. And so you start to have what some people have begun calling imposter syndrome, right? This starts eating at you. Like, am I supposed to be here? Like, because I'm here, but I'm not feeling welcomed. I'm feeling like I don't belong. Maybe I don't belong. Maybe I should leave. Should I find somewhere else? Or should I assimilate? Let me look at myself. What am I doing different, or am I being weird? Like, what do I need to fix so that everyone will accept me and I can merge in and become another leaf of glass, another blade, right? So what's happening here is that you are at that job, which means you blossomed where you were supposed to. You sent in a resume, you got interviewed, maybe it was a couple interviews, you got hired, you're there, you got an offer that you feel made sense for what you're bringing to the table. So the environment said, yeah, grow right here, blossom away. It's the grass that's saying you don't belong here. It's some other aspect external to yourself and what allowed you to be there to start with that's saying, you're a weed, you're a weed, you're a weed. Let me get out the weed killer, right? Let me make this environment inhospitable for you so you kind of wither away and die. And that sounds harsh, but that's what happens when we're faced with these scenarios. And each person listening today, and I know myself assuredly has felt this way, where why don't I fit in? Why don't I belong? And it took me a long time, and the lesson of the thistle helped me with this, was you're looking at it all wrong. Why are you questioning where you stand today? Meaning if you're standing here, which means you got here somehow. You haven't fallen. You're not sliding down, right? You're not rolling down the hill. You're standing. You're rooted. You're firmly here, which means you're supposed to be here. So what's the real problem? We're comparing. that's one of the problems, right? Like, well, I'm here, so I'm supposed to be here. Everyone's saying I'm not. Is there something wrong with me? The flower doesn't judge itself. It doesn't say, I grew in the driveway versus the other one that grew over there under the fir tree. They grew where they grew, and they're living their best life. Bees are coming, butterflies are hovering, they're looking beautiful, blossoming in their wonderful shades of colors. And not one of them are questioning, why am I here? And y'all might be thinking, I'm back. I'm not a flower. Trust and believe you are. So that's that. All right. Fix your perspective of yourself. You are growing. Every step you take, you're growing in a space you're meant for until you, because you're a human, you can uproot yourself. You can move. Absolutely. And sometimes you need to, because sometimes the environment isn't there for you to grow. Right? So that's a difference. If there's an area that feels like shit, where you're diminishing instead of thriving, that's not a hospitable environment for your growth. Now, if you are in an environment, let's take the job, that's hospitable for your growth, meaning that's going to get you to the next level of wherever your professional development wants to be, or that's going to get you, that salary is what's going to bump you up to get the better apartment in a safer neighborhood that you've been trying to get to, right? Those are your bennies, baby. Don't let anyone take those away from you. Absolutely not. You are in the right environment. Just because someone looks at you as a weed does not make you one. The only thing that can make you a weed is yourself. And so this is about self-recognition over externally applied perception. Knowing what is true, what is borrowed, and what is bullshit. A weed's blossom isn't less vibrant because it's in the driveway. That flower is as radiant as if it was anywhere else. Maybe even more so because, again, it grew there. So that was the environment it wanted. So this is really about making sure that you're not taking other people's perspectives onto yourself to where you're thinking, I don't belong here, even though you were eager to be there. Meaning, I do know this is for me, and my spirit still feels like this is for me. And like, I actually like it here. This is what I was looking for, right? Again, this is different than I thought it was one thing and it's totally something else. That could be an inhospitable environment, right? That's like if, a seed drops out of a bird's butt and it was like, oh, this is a sunny patch. I think I could do a thing. And then it realizes like that sunny patch lasts for like 10 minutes a day because there's a huge tree above and that's it. And then it's like, never mind, shrivel die. So there's that. That's a separate conversation and a separate podcast. But this one is really about understanding that where you are today, if you've chosen to be there and you're gaining from being there, you're growing from being there, you're a flower in the right place and others are looking at you as a weed. Why might that happen? Because unlike the flower, who does not compare itself to each other or to itself, it just accepts, human beings are always comparing. If you're coming in there like a rock star, are people going to be excited about you if that makes them look like shit because maybe they're not doing their best and they've been coasting by? That's competition. You're going to make me work harder now. Oh, I significantly dislike you. You could be my boss one day. Absolutely not. I need to make you so uncomfortable you leave. I need to protect my space. I need to protect my laziness, right? So you have to think about what the motivation is in people who are, or scenarios that you are in the right place. You are growing. So why are you being looked at like trash? Like something that needs a pesticide can come out and get rid of you, right? Don't take that into yourself. These are the things that you have to start thinking about to know, is it external assholes or is it really I'm just not in the right place right now? Or is it I am in the right place right now and maybe this is my lesson? Because you do not gain strength from lack of challenge. You gain strength from challenge. That's why sports players practice. That's why they push themselves, right? That's why those who are pursuing doctoral degrees, they're studying for like 500 million hours a day and their brain's like, I can't do it. They're like, you will do it, right? All of this is challenging to grow. Growth is active, it is not passive, it's always active. And so that doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. It not being easy doesn't mean it's not meant for you. And so that, my amazing listeners, is the lesson of the thistle and why you, my friends, are not weeds. You are flowers. So blossom, prosper, get pollinated so you can spread your awesomeness everywhere, sprinkle the earth with it. And don't let grass tell you otherwise, because grass isn't doing anything for anybody, including pollinators. And that's how I feel about that.
I love it. I love this whole thread, right? The feel of the weed, like flowers, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Flowers that are considered weeds,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oftentimes there's like these other elements to it, like they're like leaves are spiky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or there's an aspect of it that's like a bitter, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you eat it, it's bitter. There are these other things about it, whereas like you illustrated, the blade of grass is like this perfect comfy thing, and that's it, right? Designed around like what comfort for people to step on, I don't know, right? And that image I think is so powerful, because I think when you think about like people in their rawest forms, like their nature, people's, each individual's like basic goodness in nature, they probably actually have some thorns,
So
it's like that's way more real too, to like the raw nature of humans,
I love that
right?
you took that from this. And I would agree. I mean, some weeds, I mean, think of a buttercup. I don't know who has them based on where you live, but buttercups are like this. It's like maybe this tall, and they're these like little, I think they're four petals, this beautiful bright yellow. They're considered a weed. They just grow, they just do their thing, and that's it. They're usually about as tall as the grass. So most people cut them down because they have to cut their grass. But they're great for pollinators. They're good for insects, which bring birds. They do all kinds of stuff. And little secret, they're also great for luck.
Mm, nice.
Yeah. I use them when they are growing fresh and happy. I do use them in some luck recipes. Powerful but tiny. And I love small and mighty things. But that's a weed. They're aesthetically fine. Most things are aesthetically fine, right? Based on people's issues and personalities. But like a person, to your point, they come in all shapes and forms. Some bloom for a week, some for a day, some are tall and spiky, some are slender and wavy, some are puffy, some propagate like crazy, others are singular. But in all these cases, they're necessary. They have a purpose.
Mhm.
And I think, again, I really love how you connected that to like how people are, because every one of you, each of our listeners, me, Mambo Mooney, we are all our own spirit. We have some commonalities. There are plenty of times I've been called a weed. Trust and believe. And there was also many times I believed it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that was before I found my force. But it definitely impacted me. It impacted how I thought about myself, how I felt about myself. And
Mhm.
so it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just something to begin to recognize so you can begin to start claiming those pieces back. Because recognition and awareness is the first piece that gets you to that lesson, to that blessing, to that medicine. And all that heals you and elevates you and helps you have a way better life without the bullshit.
Awesome. Really good stuff. Thank you so much. There's, you know, so much in between the lines of everything you said. So listeners, like if this one hit, which I imagine it did for all of you, like take a re-listen. Because I'm going to stop myself because there's so much you said in between the lines here, including a lot of really good guidance on how to get through this feeling if you're in it. So thank you so much. This was so inspiring. And so, yeah, it's Mambo Beck, our spiritual services, and we're both here finding your force. Remember, we grow brighter together. So everyone stay lit.